During the pandemic, our partners were pleased to report that economic development activity and prospect interest in the region has bounced back and even accelerated in most cases. We want to thank our Carolina Core economic development partners that are here with us today. These are the folks who are actively working every day to bring jobs and investment to our region. Thank you. Together, we have collectively announced more than 18,000 new jobs in the region since launching the Carolina Core Initiative in 2018, making steady progress toward our goal of adding 50,000 new jobs by 2038. We remain encouraged by several large announcements that demonstrate our region's strong continued position and future outlook. These logos you see on the screen represent new jobs and investments, as well as expansions in the Carolina Core. These announcements are the product of teamwork across our region, and they're geographically dispersed across the Carolina Core, from Cumberland and Lee counties to Alamance, Guilford, Forsyth, Rockingham, and many others. Just to highlight a few of these recent announcements, Nature's Value is investing $18 million in adding 263 new jobs in Winston-Salem. That includes moving its headquarters, manufacturing, and distribution operations to the Carolina Core. Cambrix is investing $30 million to expand its biopharmaceutical manufacturing facility in High Point, and that'll create 78 full-time new jobs. UPS announced a $316 million investment and 592 new jobs last year in Alamance and Guilford County. Ontex Group announced a $96 million investment and 403 new jobs in Rockingham County. And that's a company from Europe that this is their first North American venture. Nestle Purina Pet Care announced a $450 million investment and 300 new jobs in Rockingham County at the former Miller Coors Brewery, which is a great reuse of a large facility that had been vacant. Prepack Manufacturing announced a $27 million investment and 200 new jobs in Guilford County. And Chick-fil-A announced a $52 million investment and 160 new jobs in Alamance County. DC Blocks is investing $305 million in High Point for a multi-tenant data center. Additionally, Syngenta is planning to expand its Greensboro headquarters, bringing a $68 million investment to the region. In their announcements, these companies all cited the Carolina Core's robust workforce, strategic location, vast transportation and logistics networks, readily available sites, and excellent quality of life as reasons to invest in the Carolina Core. Well, you see the momentum that has been building, and there's no sign of it slowing down anytime soon. Together as the Carolina Core, our future is bright, but don't just take it from me and Stan. According to the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, as of October 10th, there are 76 active projects with the potential for over 44,000 new jobs and 90 billion with a B, in new investment that are currently considered in the Carolina Core. Now, all of us in the economic development business know that we won't win all those projects, or even half of them probably, but it's certainly our goal to win our fair share, and we believe we're well positioned to do so. To help win more of these jobs and investments in 2020, our strategic focus will largely revolve around talent and marketing. We'll be working with our partners to explore and launch a large-scale Carolina Core lifestyle marketing campaign to shine light on all that our region has to offer from a quality of life perspective. That's something that is increasingly important for attracting talent. And in addition to the other talent strategies, we are collaborating with partners from across the region to compete nationally for a $75 million federal grant through the Build Back Better Regional Challenge administered by the U.S. Economic Development Administration. Thanks to Matthew Dolge and the Piedmont Triad Regional Council for helping spearhead this important collaborative effort for our region. We look forward to sharing more about these important initiatives with you in the future. So in closing, the momentum we're experiencing is made possible through regionalism and collaboration. In the Carolina Core, we know that economic development is a team sport, and we believe that collaboration within the region is stronger than ever before. Leaders are working together on a daily basis across county lines, municipal boundaries to promote our region and attract new businesses and jobs through a united name and brand, the Carolina Core, a collaborative national marketing program, a collective site selection consultant outreach strategy, and a regional aerospace strategy. We believe in the notion that we are stronger together, and a win for one is a win for all. A win in one community benefits not only that community, but the surrounding region and the entire state. Together, we are a region on the rise set to transform North Carolina, and we'll hope that you will join with us in this transformation and in telling the story of all our region has to offer. Our next segment of the webinar today is to highlight one of the companies and an individual who has chosen to come to the Carolina Corps. And it's now my pleasure to introduce you to Eric Billings, who is the controller of Nature's Value, a manufacturer of vitamins and dietary supplements that recently decided to move their headquarters to Winston-Salem from New York. The story of Nature's Value landing in the Carolina Corps is a story of collaboration and teamwork within the region. Kudos to economic developers in Davidson County and Winston-Salem for working closely together to ensure that Nature's Valley landed in the Carolina Corps, regardless of county lines or economic development boundaries. Nature's Value plans to invest at least $18 million and add 263 new jobs in the region. The company has existing operations in Davidson County and plans to consolidate its headquarters, manufacturing, and distribution operations into the new facility at Whitaker Park. Eric was key to the decision-making process to invest in the Carolina Corps. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today to give us an employer's fresh perspective on why the Carolina Corps. Eric, can you tell our attendees a bit about Nature's Value and what your plans are for Whitaker Park in Winston-Salem?
Good morning. Yes, I can mention we are a Nature's Value, as you mentioned, we vitamin food supplement manufacturer, and we distribute to wholesalers who then sell to the general public. We basically manufacture, the vitamins you go to the store for, that you take every morning, things like that. And we're the raw materials type of people that other companies put labels on. One of the important factors in our looking into North Carolina in the first place was obviously economic. Anybody who knows anything about New York and the tax burden that is on us here in New York knows that we are always fighting an uphill battle to, turn a profit and to essentially be a successful business and to keep people employed and to offer a good set of benefits and a pleasant work environment. And it becomes increasingly more difficult. When we acquired our North Carolina facility, which gave us an advantage with one of our major customers, we started to see how much more favorable the Mid-Atlantic area was as far as economics and just generally the workforce, the people, the environment. It was just a very welcoming environment, not to mention the positive business aspect of it, which is, of course, a major consideration. So when we started to look for a new facility, we looked again. Mid-Atlantic was a big area for us to look at. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, that whole area was very attractive. But we basically chose North Carolina. First of all, we had a facility there, so that made it, gave North Carolina a big step forward. And the people that we met just seemed so welcoming and excited to make the investment in North Carolina so that we could turn around and make the investment, be a good partner with the state, with the community, and with our employees. And right now we have here in New York about 250 odd employees, and we have about 55 employees that are currently in North Carolina, and we intend to keep all of those jobs that are currently in North Carolina and grow to so that 250 hopefully one day becomes 350, or however big we can get, benefits everybody.
Eric, when you and I were talking to prepare for this, you shared a little bit about the lifestyle attraction of the region to you, and perhaps the weather. Would you share that with our audience?
Well, not shoveling snow is definitely a plus. When winter shows up, on a Monday and it's gone by the weekend, you got my vote. So shoveling snow that comes up to your backside is not my idea of a good time. So at least we're not in Chicago. So
and
I went to college out there, and that's not fun.
And Eric highlighted the fact that his family was very enthusiastic about the move as well. With his wife likes the beach and the proximity to the mountains.
Well, we are, my wife and I are ocean people. I mean, it's nice to have a pool. Lakes just won't do, and you got to have an ocean, because that's just the way we grew up. She was a boater, and she was out on the water, and I grew up and spent my summers down at the Jersey Shore. So the ocean was a big factor, and the things that my wife and I are talking about, well, we're getting pretty close to that. Where are you thinking about retiring? And it's, some people, Florida wasn't really an issue for us. We didn't want the, summer year round. We wanted some change of seasons. And it's just, well, you know what, how about, move out to the Midwest? There's, no. I got to have the ocean. I got to have okay, hey, you're not going to get an argument from me. So then we're talking mid-Atlantic. My brother is a retired Navy, so he lives in Virginia Beach, so he's pretty close. My cousin just retired, and he's down in North Carolina. I think they call it the Inner Banks. So I have family in the area. And when I interviewed for this position, and Oscar had told me, well, we're thinking about buying a facility down in North Carolina. If I was a dog, my ears would have gone up. And so I was kind of wondering how I was going to broach this subject with my wife. And when I told her, if she was a dog, her ears would have gone up too, and her tail would have been wagging. And it would have just been one of those, yeah, let's do that. That sounds great. We're, it's what I like to call a God moment, where God just put it right there in front of you, and all I had to do was go pick it up. So that's what I did, and that's what we're looking for. We're when you get to move to a place that I've been in the area, I'm very familiar with the Virginia Beach, Outer Banks, North Carolina type of area. And when you've grown up in the city and on Long Island, and you're looking for to be not too far from the city, but far enough away where you're not in the city, that's what we're kind of looking for. And North Carolina fit that bill beautifully for us personally. That was, for my wife and I personally, and it's a place where we hope our children will want to come and visit, but not too often. And our whatever grandchildren we get presented with can come visit us down there as well.
Eric, can you tell us what are the next steps and the time frame for the Nature Value project?
Sure. Well, right now, we just recently, within the last couple of weeks, closed on the building at Whitaker Park. So that major hurdle has been taken care of. Anybody that has ever moved from one house to another can only imagine what it's like to move an entire, 400,000 square foot manufacturing and office facility from, a couple of 100 miles. It's going to be a major undertaking. Right now, we are beginning the process of finding people who can do it. We're looking to examine the current facility in more detail to come up with floor plans. Where are we going to put equipment? Being a vitamin supplement manufacturer, there are very stringent regulations that we have to follow. We have to essentially have clean rooms. I mean, the last thing anybody needs to do, quite frankly, is to find a hair in their vitamin C. So we've got to make sure that everything we build is not only up to federal, state standards, but they're up to our standards, which in many cases exceed what we have to do. So we want to be the best provider that we can be for our customers, for the public. We also want to be a good neighbor, a good employer. We want to be able to provide for the community, because the community essentially will be providing for us. So this mutually beneficial agreement that we're going through right now, I anticipate as being good. I don't know when this is going to finish. It's anybody that has, like I said, if you've moved from one house to another, if you've been in one house for a long time, you have accumulated quite a bit of stuff, and there's always one more thing. Until that last box is unpacked, there's one more thing, and who knows if you're ever going to get that last box unpacked. But we anticipate. Well, we have started the process. I don't really know exactly where we are in the transition process. The first step, obviously, is to find the movers. We have to find architects. We have to find builders, and anybody who's been paying attention to the news know the building supply is in short supply, so that could extend the length of the project as well as whatever costs are associated with that. But we hope to be fully underway, I would say, within the next 9 to 12 months, where there is a noticeable, hey, that wall wasn't here yesterday, and where did that machine go? And so that's our goal, and hopefully, God willing, he won't laugh at our plans. He'll go along with them.
Well, Eric, thank you for choosing the Carolina Core, and thank you for being here with us this morning to share your insights on why both you personally and Nature's Value decided to locate in the Carolina Core. We welcome you here, and we're looking forward to working with you and all of your colleagues.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to getting down there and taking a look around and seeing if I can find a good slice of pizza.
We'll make sure that happens for you.
I appreciate that.
Our next speaker and good friend to our region is Ted Abernathy. Most of you know Ted as a longstanding thought leader based in North Carolina. He's a partner to PTP, providing data, strategy, and insights in addition to his annual presentation here at our State of the Region. Ted has nearly 30 years of experience as a practicing economic developer in local and regional programs before he moved to the policy side as executive director of the Southern Growth Policies Board and as an economic development policy advisor to the Southern Governors Association. A native of Dallas, North Carolina, that is, not Texas, Ted received his bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, his master's from Johns Hopkins University, and is also a graduate of the Economic Development Institute and is an Eisenhower Fellow for Global Economics. Ted, we always enjoy your perspectives and look forward to your comments on the pace and future of the regional economy during these most unusual times.
Mike, thank you very much. I hope our screen is up now. We definitely need to send Eric a Carolina beach music compilation and get he and his wife some shag lessons so we can get them here forever. I think it is nice to hear those stories about people coming to the region. When we talk about the economy today, I don't think we could have a crazier year. Last year when we did this virtually, I said we'd never have a year like 2020. It's not the same, but 2021 has certainly turned out to be a very roller coaster year for business. This was a slide that we used in 2019 when we talked about what we were all dealing with, that we were dealing with complexity that we had never seen before. There was disruption across all of our industries, and things just seemed to be moving faster. There was acceleration. Well, there's no doubt that COVID has accelerated things even more. The technological challenges that we thought we were having in 19 with AI and the Internet of Things and blockchain and robotics, they've been accelerated. They've moved forward. They're still part of what we do. The social changes with falling fertility rates and mobility issues, they're more than they've ever been. it's hard to remember now with work the way it is that in 2019 we couldn't find workers either. The scarcity was our issue then. People were moving into gig economy and they were a bit more remote. This was all a slide from 19, and then the global issues, cybersecurity. Those of us down on the coastal area of North Carolina had a cyber impact this year with gas. We've all had weather and resource issues. And then down at the bottom was this idea in 2019 that sometime in the future we might get impacted by a pandemic. And that has certainly proved to be the issues as we've moved forward. So I think it's clear that every group that I talk to, and I've been lucky enough to be in about 20 states over the last 4 months talking to groups, anyone with us today, I think you would agree that we're never going to have less disruption in our near-term lives. The pace of change continues to get more and more accelerated, and the complexity of the information that we're having to deal with just keeps getting more complex. More of it seems to be part of us. So when you start talking about the economy today, you're talking about a lot of different things that are impacting how we do things. So quick set on the economy first. So the US GDP, this is what it looked like for the last 10 years. We were averaging somewhere just under 3 to just over 1.5%, pretty consistent over the decade from 2010 through 19. 2020, big dip based on what happened to us with the pandemic, and then a rebound this year. So we've seen what's likely to be the future as we go forward. This is the craziest chart I'll ever have, and unfortunately I'll have it forever. For about the entire decade that we came out of, we had consistent, steady private sector job growth. And then last March and April, we lost 22 million jobs. We're about 78% of the way back. So we still have between 8 and 9 million jobs that we have lost, just over 9, I think, in the latest month. And so forever, we're trying to catch up with where we were before all of this started. The employment growth last year, sort of 6% of all jobs disappeared. We've had that steady growth all along. We are making a comeback, but job growth has slowed down. We'll talk about the reasons around talent in just a few minutes. When you look at the metro areas in North Carolina over that 10-year period, you can see the 3 metros, the Burlington, the Greensboro, and the Winston-Salem metros, all growing at different rates, not leading the state. That's Raleigh and Charlotte, as we know, but steady growth. And we have a state where the metro areas have, there are ones that have lost jobs during the last 10 years. So the Triad and the Carolina core areas growing pretty steadily, but not leading the state in that. COVID was an interesting thing from an economic standpoint because it was so uneven. This is what's happened to states from February of 20, which is just before COVID, through the latest data that we have. The U.S. lost 3.5% of its jobs net during that period of time. North Carolina less than that, 2.4%. But you can see on the chart, there are places like Utah, Idaho that actually grew during that period, and places like Hawaii or New York that took huge hits. So depending on where you are in the country, COVID has had a really different impact on the locals economy. And so when we look at national news and we see averages, we're really not hearing much about what's going on at a state level, and certainly not at a local level. So I've shown you this chart every year. It's a chart that shows the United States and North Carolina's job changes over this 30-year period. And the takeaway from the chart consistently has been that as the national economy goes, so goes North Carolina, but usually better. And you can see on the far right there that even during this pandemic, North Carolina's economy performed a little better than the national economy. One of the reasons, and Eric brought this up, is North Carolina is consistently rated as one of the best states for business. This is the 4 top places, Forbes, CNBC, CEO Magazine, Business Facilities, that rate the best states for business. And you can see North Carolina is actually in the top 5 in all 4 of those rankings. These are the other places. Texas is the only other state ranked in the top 5, but in the top 10, it's North Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia that show up on everybody's list. And it's no coincidence that those 4 states have seen a lot of the growth. You also see Virginia, Florida, Utah, Washington, Colorado, Indiana, and Ohio in multiple times. So there are states in the country that are viewed as much better states for business. And when you look at the growth, businesses use those data analytics to figure out where they're going to go next. This is a chart our firm does every year. We look at all of those rankings and then we map them against the actual performance. So if you're considered a best state for business, shouldn't your performance be there? Shouldn't you have more job growth, wage growth, and GDP growth? And if you're down in that green box down in the corner where North Carolina clearly is, those are the states that are ranked high and also their performance is high. Not every state, their ranking is a good predictor of their performance, but for North Carolina, we're very blessed to live in a very competitive state. Overall, in the last year, the 2019 through 20 year, job growth is top 10, GDP growth top 15. Wage growth slipped a little. We had some losses during the pandemic, especially in our manufacturing sectors that took some higher wage jobs out. And so our job growth wasn't as high compared with the rest of the country. You also had a lot of low-end jobs hit in heavy tourist states. When you take those low-end jobs out, the overall wage growth looks like it goes up. So some of this is a statistical anomaly. When you look at how we've done during the pandemic overall, you can see how we compare to southern states among the best. Louisiana took the biggest hits. Some Kentucky's in there with some big losses. Oklahoma, partially pandemic, partially oil and gas. But overall, North Carolina performed well. When you look at manufacturing, we only lost 1.2% of our jobs during that period of time. Kentucky grew during that period, but other states had much heavier manufacturing losses. Part of that is the nature of our manufacturing. We do a lot of aerospace, we do a lot of medical supplies and biopharmaceuticals. All of those got through the pandemic pretty well. And then when you look at professional and business services, you can see that North Carolina actually grew those white collar high-end jobs during the pandemic, as did other states, as did Tennessee and Georgia and Arkansas. So a real mixed bag based on what industry you happen to be in. When we look at the metros, obviously everybody took a hit during the February through recent data. In the triad, a little bit different. Greensboro taking one of the higher hits. As you see, Asheville took the most hit in North Carolina around their economy that's based on leisure and tourism, probably a major reason. Some of the places that are more like Greenville with academic location, Durham, which is health and academics, less of an impact. And when we look at similar size metros around the South and the rest of the country that we compare ourselves to, you can see really mixed bag, everybody losing jobs, but different paces of losing those jobs. So this is what happened in 20. This is the 19 to 20 change. This is US and the Piedmont Triad Partnership. About the same amount, 5.8 versus 5.6% during that year. A little bit more loss in manufacturing in the Triad, and that's just a result of what types of industries that happen to be there. A little more loss in professional and technical services there. Did a little bit better in the trade side of it, did a little bit better in the education and health side. So it was a mixed bag. That was what happened last year. As we look at what's happening this year, you can see it's a bounce back. The only sector that really hasn't made that bounce back in the Triad yet is the government sector. It's still down. But everybody else beginning to grow back from the shutdown, and we expect that to continue through the next couple years to get everybody back to the job levels they were at before. This is what happened during the whole of the pandemic. Every county took a hit in the region, some a little less. Montgomery, Alamance, a little less than others. Guilford and Randolph, the highest job losses. But when you have a recession generated by a global pandemic, you're going to have short-term job losses, and the region looks very much like the rest of the country. This is what's happened this year. Everybody growing again. all the counties, both North Carolina and all the counties in the region growing again, some of them bouncing back pretty quick, Alamance leading the pack. And so we'd also expect this as 21 continues through the rest of the final quarter and into 22. As Stan and Mike and others have told you, lots of prospects, and so job growth is expected to be pretty strong.